24, let's go.
It's Heartbeat.
It's a fabulous show.
Alaska.
Hi, Heartbeat Alaska.
It's Heartbeat. Alaska.
Pull up a chair and enjoy the show.
Hear it from Sitka to Barrow. Gather around for Jeannie's show. It's the Aleut, the Indian, and the Eskimo. It's the Aleut, the Indian, and the Eskimo.
Welcome one, welcome all.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Heartbeat Alaska Native News. I'm Jeannie Green. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we travel to rural Alaska with a very, very important story. Today's youth are pressured by their peers to have sex before marriage. It's happening all over the world, not just here in Alaska. However, in Alaska, we do claim some of the highest rates of sexually transmitted diseases and pre-marriage pregnancy. That rate is very high too. Well, there's ways to combat that. There really are. Let's talk right after this.
Heartbeat Alaska is made possible by Kupik Carlisle Transportation, your full-service transportation and logistics company.
Heartbeat Alaska is also brought to you by Frontier Flying Service. Thank you, Frontier, for getting Heartbeat Alaska airborne.
A special thank you to Scan Home and Scan Office Furnishings. And thank you, Alaska Commercial Company, for your support.
Earlier I spoke about pressure. The youth have pressure to perform premarital sex, pressure by their peers to be cool and part of the crowd. Well, it's actually fine not to have premarital sex. Let's find out why and who's doing that, who's participating and choosing the other way. Teenagers live and grow in a world that is beyond their reasoning or control. Influences abound and can make life hard even at the best of times. And growing up in a rural setting has its own unique problems. With the high substance abuse and suicide rate among Alaskan youth, it could seem like things are bad enough, but some people are looking even further into the issues youth are facing today.
Teenagers are teenagers. We were all teenagers at one time, all of us adults anyway. And sometimes we do things without thinking.
I notice a lot of young girls are getting pregnant, or a lot of girls my age are getting pregnant, and I just don't think it's right. Maybe they might think they'll be cool, or because everybody's doing it, or just because they want to feel loved or something.
A lot of peer pressure, I believe, of things happening, changes in our lifestyle and culture.
I mean, when I was a teenager, man, you never thought of doing anything other than maybe kissing your girl when you were going out on dates, because the sex act was taboo. I mean, you didn't do that unless you got married.
I just noticed there's a lot of young ladies having babies while they're not married yet, and they're not ready to have babies. And some of them didn't finish high school, and they're dropping out of school so they can watch their babies. And that's not good.
Alaska experiences a high rate of sexually transmitted diseases. It is also home to numerous teenage pregnancies and other problems related to youth sexualization. So how does one address the problems teens face and help them learn from mistakes others have made? Where do we start? Let's talk about sex. The powerful, enigmatic force we call sex has been happening as long as we've walked the earth. And judging by the 6.5 billion humans living now, we seem to be successful at it. There's so many of us that a few 100,000 can starve without major society upheaval. So why worry about some teenagers and their sexual dalliances? We all seem to know it's going on. So how have our views changed? Is society changing? Can we blame all our problems on pop culture, movies, MTV, and the internet? There is a group of people that are eager to talk about these things and are driven to reach out to the youth of today.
That's right, herpes is an STD. Good. What other STDs do you remember that we talked about?
They're part of the Let's Talk Healthy Relationships undertaking, an abstinence education program aimed at adolescents age 12 to 18.
Okay, what other STDs do you know about? AIDS, chlamydia.
Very good.
Good memory.
I'm waiting because I don't want to get a disease.
I have a future ahead of me, and I don't want to mess up my life.
If my husband asks me if he's the first, I want to say yes.
Yes. Because I respect myself. I have so much going for me. A child would only slow me down.
Let's Talk was a small local endeavor until 2002, when it received a federal grant to help the message reach communities statewide.
I'm protecting my heart.
Waiting doesn't make you less of a man.
I'm waiting because it's the most precious gift I can give.
We began with presentations in the Anchorage area about 17 years ago, expanded to the Matsu Valley, and then we were awarded a grant to reach communities across the state of Alaska. Over a 3-year period, we reached over 100 communities and 36,000 youth with abstinence until marriage presentations.
For Sex Road, what are some reasons that teenagers might choose to wait for Sex Until Marriage Road? Let me hear some.
These days, almost 20 presenters take the Let's Talk Healthy Relationships program into public and private schools, youth facilities, and church youth groups.
We're talking about an exciting topic, which is... Well, I was thinking along the lines of healthy relationships, you know? Okay, now guys...
The program has a threefold objective.
Orally as well.
First and foremost, Let's Talk has a charge to share the healthy relationship message with all Alaskan youth, from the most remote villages to the largest communities. Second, they're aiming to recruit and assist 20 communities across Alaska in developing their own community-based abstinence education program. Third, Let's Talk is planning a statewide resource center to support the community-based programs.
The choices you make today, can they affect your future? Yeah. And not only a little bit, but what's this big word? Profoundly, like hugely. It's entirely possible.
You know, there are a lot of other programs that share the other side, a lot about contraceptives and such, and often it gives a very low emphasis on abstinence, which can be a very mixed message. Like, well, we don't really expect that you could do this, or that if you use a condom, you're completely safe, no problem, you know, go for it. But the fact of the matter is that, for example, with condoms that do reduce the risk of STD, it does not eliminate. So why abstinence? One reason is that it is 100% risk elimination. And what we encourage our youth is, you know, it's about goals. It's about respecting and valuing themselves and looking at, you know, what would I love to see happen with my life, and what are ways to protect those goals. Abstinence is a way to protect those goals.
What are some things that slow a person down from reaching their goals? Okay, drugs, alcohol, okay, diseases. Are you able to go to school when you have a baby?
If you really want something, like if you want to graduate from high school or go to college after you graduate, it's really important. Like to reach your goals, to be what you want to be, like be all you can be.
What kind of feeling do you get if you thought about being pregnant right now at 16?
I would think that my life is over. I got lots of dreams and plans for myself, and that it'll just slow me down to my goals.
Whether these goals include a family, job, career, or just living without the hindrance of a physical malady the rest of their life, the future is indeed on most kids' minds. We tend to think of childhood and adolescence as a carefree, day-to-day existence, when in fact it's a lot more stressful and responsibility-laden than that.
You, my friend, are going to attempt to balance this yardstick on your hand. But you are only allowed to look at your hand.
Every decision these young people are making may affect the rest of their lives. To illustrate this point, these kids were shown how difficult it is to manage things without keeping the end in sight.
Ready? All right, you can give it a shot. I'll give you 2 more tries. Yes? Yep. Yep.
So let's say in a relationship, okay? Number one reason, okay? If we're in a relationship, and guys, you know, sometimes even though it's not communicated, there can be that lingering pressure about the sex thing.
The emissaries in this endeavor come from all sorts of backgrounds, bringing a variety of experiences and stories to their presentations.
Hi. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hola. Okay. For the story, I'd like to introduce you to Candice's boyfriend.
You don't want any STDs, avoiding STDs.
Just anger can, and a little bit, you know, maybe a little bit of it. You spray her a little bit.
Felicia.
Ow. Today, we're going to talk about the physical side first, and then we're going to go to the emotional side of a relationship, okay?
Because we have so many speakers and some that are from various regions, that often is really exciting to some communities.
What's the number one absolute thing you have to do right away if you have any kind of sexual activity?
Go see a doctor.
Go see a doctor. Perfect answer. That's right.
I think the first reason why we became involved with this program is because we love and we care for the youth of the region, the children, and we want them to make really healthy choices.
What's that? Reaching your goals. Where's those goals? Right here, okay? Everybody wants to reach their goals, right?
We love to see positive things happen to people in their lives, and we want them to be able to reach their goals and not have anything slow them down, and we want them to think and be happy with the rewards of good character, maturity, and character development.
Do you remember how people contract STDs? By blood. That's right. That's one way. What?
French kissing.
Okay, French kissing is on the way. Something right. Touching. So we're on something here. Do you want to talk about the touching part, Leanna?
I think, you know, kids want to know, and maybe they don't know how to ask. And parents want their kids to know, but maybe they don't know how to say, you know, to tell them. So something like this, where a neutral person comes out and talks to the kids, is good. I like it.
Petting. So now we know that at petting or making out or necking or whatever it's called, that's when the woman's body is preparing itself for intercourse. So again, we need to be aware of that because now body fluids are present.
Let's talk. This is Leanna.
Let's Talk flies to every village their budget will allow, but is sharing the message here in Anchorage as well.
She didn't want to drive in the city.
Oh. While free sex and prostitution might prevail in the city streets and alleyways, schools are making sure its students focus on a positive and productive lifestyle. To help promote this, they host Let's Talk presentations for their students. This one was for the boys.
On this word intimacy, this definition will be worth more than $1,000 to you. And that's this. Into me, you see. Okay, say that with me. Into me, you see. You know what this is all about? It's no more looking, okay? And because the way we're wired, we're kind of geared towards the physical. But into me, you see, is looking past the physical into getting to know that person who is on the inside. Why? Because people, you know, and over time, people get good at wearing masks. Okay, on the outside they can appear to everything, you know, everything is all together, got it all going on, but on the inside they could be insecure and things are falling apart. On the outside, you know, they can appear to be happy, where on the inside they can be sad and depressed. Okay, for us, you know, a girl on the outside could be a hottie, but the person on the inside could be ugly. Okay, and so into me you see is getting to know that person who is on the inside.
The presentations, while varying from presenter to presenter based on their respective backgrounds and stories, all have the same objective. Though the program uses positive reinforcement to show where kids could take their lives, they also use a set of slides and movies to illustrate the negative things that can happen as a result of careless sex.
Lisa contracted HIV from a man she was engaged to when she was 21. But she didn't know she was sick until she was diagnosed with full-blown AIDS 3 years later.
It looks painful, really painful. Doesn't look good to go through that. It must really hurt for the people who have STDs or any disease. You must be really regretting. I'm a kind of person that don't like to regret.
This is a scientific survey for research, and so here's what we need to ask of you.
To make sure the message has an impact, the Let's Talk program has begun asking youth that participate to fill out surveys that reflect their attitudes and intentions towards sexual activity.
This survey, as said, is anonymous. Do not put your name on it. Your name will not be connected with your answers.
Surveying is a vital part of our program. It will help us to determine whether or not our program is successful, what kind of changes that we need to make. Is it making an impact out there with the youth, short-term and long-term?
This is not like a test where there are right and wrong answers. Just tell us what you think.
I think people my age or younger should think about abstinence while they're in school. And set goals for themselves and try to reach them, because it could really ruin everything.
There's another puppy. Just the other puppy. Which one's that one?
We jump at any chance we have to give our kids an opportunity that they don't get. Not many people are willing to travel out here. It's inconvenient, it's expensive.
I think it's a great opportunity for the kids, especially since we are in a village and it is a little secluded from, say, somewhere like in Anchorage.
The kids out here, because their exposure, they see it on TV, they know what's happening, they can talk it, but they don't live it. And because of that, they're not as advanced as Anchorage kids or downstates kids emotionally. Multiply. Then you're going to do a second function. They don't have 15 different girlfriends over the course of their high school. They might have 3 or 4. That's how many people there are in their age group.
They have a lot of perceptions that aren't easily answered to them sometimes. And having somebody to come out and talk about the issues like sex and STDs and stuff like that benefits the kids, because sometimes they are a little embarrassed to talk to their family or to their parents about issues like this.
STDs.
It may be an embarrassing subject, but parents are the front line on teens' growth and maturity. As Let's Talk's presentation says, there is no unit, agency, organization, policy, or program that has more influence on society than the family unit, for better or worse. And those that take their parental responsibility seriously have more potential influence for good than any other factor.
We just really applaud your role in being involved in the youth's lives here. And
to encourage this, Let's Talk hosts a special presentation for the parents.
From 6th to 7th grade, the number of sexually active youth have doubled. By 8th grade, again it doubles. By 9th grade, 1/3 of youth are sexually active.
Well, last night we had a small parent night here in Kidwell, but then the feedback that I got from one of the parents is, I'm going to go talk to my teens, and that's good, you know. Even if you just even reach out to one parent, I think we've made some good strides.
So parents, keep it up. Keep encouraging your child. And this is the message I like to be able to tell parents. Your teenager wants your support.
In addition to reaching parents and youth, the Let's Talk agenda includes helping communities put together their own programs. They believe that no matter how effective the periodic presentations may be, it's important to continually feed this information to the youth, using the support and context of their own surroundings.
Our research found in the last grant that while it does make a difference for real behavioral change, our youth need to hear the message more than once a year. They need to hear the message in a variety of sources over time.
What we're wanting to do when approaching these communities is to ask them, how can we help you? What are your needs? What do you need from us? How can we assist you? By that way, then they're the ones that know what their needs are and how it would be best to be developed within their community.
They are already helping 6 communities in Alaska begin abstinence programs and are looking for another 14 that would be interested in creating their own program.
The different kinds of assistance that we provide is like technical assistance, showing them how to develop your own program, anything from possibly fundraising to maybe assisting them to get to a grant writing workshop, curriculum training, outreach supplies, which would include posters, brochures, bookmarks, stickers, you know, those fun things, those reminders for the kids.
Can do.
Heck no.
Yes, Candice.
They're hoping that the message will take on a life of its own and eventually become a part of every teenage kid's understanding of the world, their fellow adolescents, and their place in it all.
I think it's made the kids more open with talking with the teachers and with each other. So it was exciting. I think they really looked forward to it. And I don't know, maybe part of it was teasing each other, or maybe it was part of it because it's not something they always talk about. But they've talked pretty freely, I think, as a result of the program.
Can you pull your seat up?
When I see, you know, the older ones, you know, kind of smiling at each other and stuff like that, it does enter my mind that, you know, there's so much stuff out there that we don't even know about, that these kids need to be talked to. And maybe somebody who's closer in their age would get through to them better, you know, because, you know, they'll listen to me to a point, but then I'm only grandma, you know. So when there's somebody closer in age, I think this is a good program. I think it's good for everybody.
We look at the youth and see their potential. They can do it. They can be abstinent until marriage if they make the choice. It's a matter of them setting their boundaries and sticking to it, believing in themselves, having a support system, and just moving on in life, one step at a time.
You're on the winning team, and you're going to make it. To the youth, you're going to reach your goals. You have people that care for you and love you, and you're going to make it. And to the parents, keep being a coach. You're doing a good job.
At the end of the day, it's a choice. And when the Let's Talk presenters return home and Alaska's youth go on about their daily lives, hopefully they now have more ammo, more information, and the knowledge that it's okay to say no. Others across the state and nation and world are saying it. And it's a good thing.
It's important to wait until you're married to have sex. And that you should wait for that special someone, and I don't know, just not rush into it so fast.
Thank you everyone at Let's Talk for sponsoring this program and sharing this very important subject with all the viewers of Heartbeat Alaska. If you want more information, call Let's Talk at 868-5033. God bless every single one of you. Thanks for joining me for Heartbeat Alaska.
So did you guys learn anything yesterday during your Let's Talk?
Sex. Yeah.
What about sex?
Reasons not to do it.
What did you think about that?
You get married, so you don't need to get STDs or AIDS or HIV. There's a bunch of diseases you would not want to get at this young age.
At this young age, is that what you said, Steven?
Anybody pregnant.
Yeah.
Have babies at a young age.
The message I have for the youth is to love yourself first, respect yourself, believe in yourself.
A healthy message for kids, I would feel, is getting to know people, because peer pressure is such a powerful, so powerful with kids, just being involved with a group of people, whether people that make healthy choices.
I'd like my students to learn to find things that they enjoy that are sort of pure, joyous enjoyment and don't have any kind of effect on the body other than, you know, having some cookies and your mouth waters is good, but just kind of stay away from that stuff that's rough on your body. It'll be better for your children and your children's children.